My name's Candice Hennessey, and I got into yoga at the athletic club, actually. I was a runner, and I kept suffering the same injury over and over again, and found that yoga could really help me to heal quicker and to give me the rest I needed between running. And ultimately, hot yoga came to me later on through some friends that introduced me to the practice. And so I'd travel outside of Bel Air to do hot yoga, which I fell in love with. And the two came together, and that's really what I like to practice now mostly, is just yoga in the heat, and any kind of yoga really. Yoga Centric was actually the second name that was developed for the studio. The first name was Lotus and Lila, which is now our corporation. Lotus and Lila in Sanskrit, which is the language of yoga, translates to lotus is a flower and Lila is to play. So I thought that was really beautiful for a name for the studio. However, when I met with the person who helps me with marketing and the website, Sandy Capanos, she said, that's not gonna work because your demographic is, what you're showing me is you want men there, and that name is just not really resonating to me if you want to attract more men too and have a balanced demographic. So I gave it a lot of thought, and I was walking down the streets in New York actually, and the word egocentric came to my mind, and I thought, well, that's not good because you don't want your ego to be at the center. And it was just in my mind, I'm like, yoga is the opposite of ego. It's to remove the ego, so egocentric, yoga-centric being the opposite, yoga at the center of everything. So we are primarily a hot yoga studio, heated vinyasa yoga. Vinyasa meaning the connection of breath to movement in your yoga postures. However, the studio has grown, and the needs of the clients have grown, so with that we have added a good bit of non-heated vinyasa classes, restorative yoga, yin yoga, which are also all non-heated classes, more passive, slower moving classes, and aerial yoga, which has exploded and become one of the most popular formats here. Every studio has the ability to build a community that where each person attracts to one another. So whenever I walk into different yoga studios, I can feel what's going on there in the way of how the community works together, what type of needs the community has. And here, I think it's based upon the needs of our community, and the needs of our community here are to have a place just to be. So to walk off the streets of Bel Air, or from their busy work day, or their work at home, and be able to walk into a space where the moment they come in, it's, and they can just be at who they are. One of the coolest things here is that most of us hardly know each other's age, what we do for a living, our backgrounds. The moment you walk through that door, everyone just comes together as who they are at the baseline. Mm-hmm. If I were to walk out this door today and never come back in, I truly don't think much would change. The community has evolved into its own working thing that works really well, and they can do it without me or without anyone. The community, each person is part of this huge thing that has nothing to do with one person. The best way to contact us, I would say truly, is to come in. So you asked earlier how we're a little bit different than other studios. When I opened the studio, my goal was to have a place where people could come even when there weren't classes, because often coming into a yoga studio your first time can feel intimidating if you haven't done it before. So we offer what we call a tour, our little tours here, which you girls were able to get. So I think the best thing to do is to come in anytime, 7 days a week between classes, and meet with one of our community managers, the person who works at the front, and say hello and get the tour and get acclimated, and we can help you get started with your schedule. The best way to get started is with our 30 days for $30, because it gives you the chance to try all of the classes and all the instructors and figure out what works for you, so that at the end of the 30 days you have a better understanding whether you want to join as a member or stick with class passes.